This is a follow-up to a video I made a few weeks ago about the vermiculture bin system that I have to decompose most of my kitchen waste. So here you can see the material. It's pretty much composted at this time. You can't really tell what was originally there. There's some avocado pits here and there, some a little bit of tape from cardboard that I use to add brown material to the system, but this is pretty much done. This is at the point that it just needs to sit for a few more weeks before I can use it as worm castings and add it to my gardens. So in the next few sessions, I'm gonna show you kind of the process of how I add new material to the compost bin. So stay tuned for that. So here I'm gonna remove some of the stuff from this side over to this side. And it's usually half and a half. But you can see there's still a ton of worms there, so I wouldn't want to take this material and put it on the other bin because I want to keep the worms in the system, so I don't want to take them out. So what I'm going to do is empty this space. So it's about you can say it's about what 8 inches. I'm going to empty this side, I'm going to put it here, and then I'm going to add the new material here to get movement from this side to that side. Another aspect of the composting system is to add the eggshells. So what I do is I have this food processor. It cost me about $4 at the Salvation Army, and I put eggshells in there and then grind them to very small granular pieces. So what they do is that they work as grit. So the worms will take them in, keep them in their bellies, in the digestive tract, and then they use them to process the food, to kind of grind the bacteria out of the food they're consuming. So I'm gonna show you in a little bit how we do that. So we have put the eggshells in, and then put the lid, and then you. So you get the idea. So here you can see it's quite granular. You want to be mindful of the dust that comes from it. You don't want to breathe it. Anytime you're working with small particles, you want to be mindful of that. But these eggshells are actually really good quality. They come from organic chickens. These are the eggs that we consume, that my mom and my brother consume. We usually buy them either organic at Whole Foods, or we get them from different farms in Massachusetts. You just go up there, get a haircut, drive around, and just buy eggs from the side of the road from different people that keep organic hens. So really good eggshells. So now I'm gonna show you how to put this into the composting system. All right, so we're back here. This whole area has been emptied. So I leave a little bit of compost in the bottom to inoculate the new material that I'm going to add. And on this side I have leaves. These are dry leaves from the autumn. And then what I'm going to do is build this in layers, like if you were making lasagna. So you put some leaves, and then you add some of the green waste, so the kitchen waste. So the kitchen waste is in this bucket, and this is another system that I have. This is Bokashi. So I add, it's like a culture, and this is kind of fresh, but usually the stuff in the bottom will be a lot more cooked. And this is actually, most of it is fermented. And the reason why I do this is I ferment it, I press it so it drains a lot of the water out of the system, so then that extra fluids are not going to go into my composting system. So I'm going to add some of this into this. So I added a layer of the green material. So the green material is organic stuff, the high nitrogen, that is going to heat up and decompose. So once I put a lot of that kitchen waste or the green manure, I am gonna put some of my eggshells on top. And what the eggshells do is that they're also, because that material has been fermenting, so it's very acidic, and the eggshells should help neutralize some of that. Because a lot of people say that you should never put bokashi, fermented bokashi, which is essentially fermented kitchen scraps, into your worm bins because it's too acidic, it's going to kill your worms. I've always done it, never had any problems. But what I always do, number one, I add plenty of eggshells to kind of neutralize some of the acidity. I don't know if that works, but in my head it works. And I also make sure the worms have a place to go. If that gets too much for them, they can hang out on this side while that gets stabilized, and then they can start moving into it slowly. But what I notice is I put this stuff and within 3 days it's full of worms. So now I have the food scraps with my eggshells, and I am gonna add some more of the green, of the brown material, or the leaves. So in a sense, this is how most people make compost. So they add green material, brown material, and I'm following that same principle. The only difference is like this is a really high intensity worm bin. So again, lots of leaves, then I'm gonna put more food scraps, more eggshells, more leaves on top. Also, something that I do that you may want to do is as you're building this, you can also put some of the compost and the worms that are already kind of underway. The compost is already made, because what that does is inoculates the new stuff that you put in with bacteria. You don't want to press it too hard because you want oxygen to get in there, and but you can put some of it. So when I put worms in there, I don't want to put the food scraps directly on top of them. So what I'll do is I'll put some cardboard, and then again, without compacting it too much, just add a lot of brown leaves, and then one more layer of food scraps, one more layer of brown material, and then at the end I'm going to top it with some of this material. So let's do that and I'll come back. Great, so that's my last layer of brown material on top of a layer of wood scraps. I want to show you something. Here on this side I put a piece of cardboard, and you see that on the other side there's nothing. I just built air pockets, so there is air circulation more or less, and the container also have holes that allow some air to go in, because you want air to be circulating as much as possible without drying it, because when it gets to be anaerobic, meaning there is no oxygen in the system, that's when you get smells. So if you get smells, it's because the system has gone anaerobic. You need some aeration. The leaves help with that because they are fluffy and they have air pockets kind of building as you pile them up. So what I'm going to do next, which I think is something that will be helpful for you, especially because you told me you're having some problems with bugs, is I top this with compost. So some of the compost that I took when I was digging out, I'm gonna put it back on top, and you can see there's a lot of worms in there. And what that allows is for, there's still some pineapples leaves that they were kind of dogged in, is now there is not a lot of room for any bugs to come in, and because the stuff on top is already pretty much decomposed, it's not going to attract bugs because it doesn't have any, it's just compost. It's done. It's like organic material, like really good soil from the woods. So it doesn't have a ton of active decomposing material that would attract flies into the system. And also, once I cover this, there's not going to be a whole lot of space for anything to be in there besides just worms doing their business. As this moves on, this stuff is going to start decomposing and it starts going down. So right now it's kind of topped, but eventually it will actually start going down. So again, to review, on this side, I have the compost that has been kind of cooking for a long time, about 6 weeks to I don't want to say 2 months. I don't think it quite has 2 months. On this side is the new material. I top everything with some of the composting material that it's already more or less decomposed, to kind of neutralize anything that might attract bugs or anything. And then I can put pieces of cardboard on top of that, just to kind of put an extra layer, or just leave it as it is and then put the lid on top and make sure the lid is pretty tight so you don't have anything else going in there. So that is pretty much how I add new material with the food waste, the eggshells, and the brown material, which are dry leaves from the autumn. So I hope this video will help you and inspire you to continue your composting adventure.